Mahadev, as it's been called, sends a message louder than any bomb. India will hunt down every terrorist, no matter where they hide. This happened coincidentally on a day when a heated debate began in Parliament, with the Congress taking on the government in Operation Sindoor. Well, what we can do now is actually share a couple of key points about the operation itself. Remember, this was a tech-based operation, is what we have learned. Communications intercepts may have been part of the operation to try and hunt down these terrorists, to get an idea of where they were. Soldiers deployed in the higher reaches of the Dachigam forest had been there for a period of time to try and get an idea of what exactly was happening. In fact, this operation had been going on obviously for months since Pahalgam took place, but the exchange of fire today began at approximately 9 a.m. The area itself extremely rugged and forested, an encounter site like not one that we've seen in a long time. It's in fact near a ridge which goes towards Pahalgam itself. And there have been large-scale operations on this ridge for the last few months, which is why it is believed that these terrorists could not settle in any one place. Now, the operation is still on. There is a search on for more terrorists. The pictures of the terrorists who have been eliminated, including, it is believed, the terrorist mastermind of Pahalgam, that has been sent to the National Investigating Agency, and there should be some confirmation of this later on. So that's what we are looking at this juncture. Now, all of this took place coincidentally on a day in which Operation Sindoor got off to a huge start in Parliament today in terms of debate. There was a fiery Rajnath Singh taking on Gaurav Gogoi of the Congress Party. Let's listen in to what they've said.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, कभी कभी हमारे प्रतिपक्ष के लोग ये पूछते रहे हैं कि हमारे कितने विमान गिरे। मुझे लगता है उनका यह प्रश्न हमारी राष्ट्रीय जनभावनाओं का सही से प्रतिनिधित्व नहीं कर रहा है। मुझे लगता है उन्होंने एक बार भी हमसे यह नहीं पूछा कि हमारी सेनाओं ने दुश्मन के कितने विमान मारे गिराए।
क्या ये जरूरी नहीं कि जेट गिरे, पर क्यों गिरे, क्या गलतियां हुई, वो महत्वपूर्ण है। संख्या महत्वपूर्ण नहीं सर। 35 ही राफेल है देश में, 35 ही राफेल है। अगर उनमें से कुछ गिरे भी तो देखिए सर, मुझे तो लगता है कि बहुत बड़ी क्षति हुई।
Well, joining us now, General Yash Mor. We are also joined by S.B. Ved, the former Director General of Police in Jammu and Kashmir, Ranbir Singh Pathane of the BJP, and Adil Singh Boparai of the Congress Party. Thank you all very much for being with us. General Yash Mor, firstly, in terms of this operation itself, the terrain and the fact that this was at an altitude of 13,000 feet, extremely forested. And what people don't often understand is that you can't just necessarily hunt down well-trained terrorists who've probably been soldiers in the past instantly. It might take time. What does this operation say about the persistence of our forces?
Vishnu, Jai Hind. Firstly, thank you for inviting me. And it's a very proud day for the forces. That I also includes J&K police and other security forces. Of course, the army is in the forefront of this. When I was in 36 RR, I've operated in the Bring Valley, the Gadol Valley, the Wadhawan Valley, somewhere not exactly this area where this, this particular encounter has taken place, but I'm quite well averse of I've seen this terrain, the density of the trees, the heights, the difficulty of climbing, sustaining troops there, and trying to hunt down 2 to 3 terrorists, very, very difficult. So I'm sure we have used high quality tech int, and more than that, human int. I have been, stressing on the need of human int, because the people of Kashmir who will guide us, and so I'm sure there must be some part of human int involved in this. So since morning when this news started coming in, one could see that it's been a joint operation. We are still waiting for details. I'm sure J&K Police Headquarter 15 Corps Victor Force will jointly address and give out the identification and things like that. There's no hurry in operations. There's no hurry even to once you're cornered these militants, there's never a hurry. We can take our own time, because the aim is that we should not have any of our own casualties. It should be surgical operation. It should be very clean operation. And later on identification, the NIA will get involved, the police will get involved, the locals will get involved. And we should not be in a hurry to really put an identification name and this on. That will take time. So overall, I think it's been a very, very commendable job done by all the forces, the special forces, the Rashtriya Rifles, J&K police, and the int agencies who would have naturally been, part of this. So, yeah, Vishnu.
Mr. Ved, I think what General Moore speaks about is important. Intelligence. In the last couple of years, there was a sense, particularly south of the Pir Panjal, a sense that human intelligence, for all sorts of reasons, was growing thin. There are a few people in this country who have fought terrorists more than you. How important is human intelligence, beyond technical intelligence, as we fight terrorism?
Good evening, Vishnu. Good evening to my co-panelists. As General Saab was saying, General Bauer, I think intelligence is very, very crucial for any successful operation. And in fact, that was the point where we had certain weaknesses on both sides of the Pir Panchal. And, these are specially trained terrorists for mountain warfare and jungle warfare by the Pakistan establishment. And some of them are ex-commandos of the Pakistan Special Forces. And they were using making use of some of the facility provided by Chinese satellites, and which is very, very difficult to track down. Making use of special equipment provided by Chinese, communicated through satellites to the control in Pakistan. So normal procedure where what security forces used to do is tracking down with the tower location when somebody is using mobile phone. That is not happening for quite some time now. All these terrorists have been specially trained for such purposes, that minimum human interaction. The technical inputs are so difficult to get. I think in this very, very successful operation, human intelligence has played a very crucial role. Sure. I think a lot of tracking has taken place, monitoring has taken place. It took many days to zero in, and then ultimately a very well planned, precise operation was launched. Look at the location where this has happened, Mahadev mountain overlooking the Dachigam forest, thick forest down below. But look at the place where this hideout is built. You could spot movement of security forces from any angle. So a very difficult job for the security forces. I think all had kudos to those who generated this pinpointed intelligence, and the overall in charge people who actually executed this operation. Sure. Excellent work done. The country was waiting for this. And today's news was really very, very good news for that.
General Moore, I think Mr. Ved
appropriate time than today.
Sure. I think Mr. Ved makes an important point when he says that not ordinary terrorists could actually operate in this area. It just strikes me that those soldiers, these terrorists, were potentially soldiers trained in jungle craft. The ability to survive at 13,000 feet, in those forests, in a shelter, and then, and they aren't suicide attackers. At least they hit and they run. It requires an element of extreme training, right? These were not terrorists. They were obviously soldiers, special forces soldiers, in some way, shape, or form.
See, Vishnu, very distinctly, at least people like me who've been in 20, 30 encounters and seen very closely. By seeing a picture, I can tell you whether it is a Lashkar-e-Toiba or Jaish, or that is the kind of training and indoctrination, equipment, everything speaks the moment you see a terrorist, of which Tanzim he belongs to. And so Lashkar-e-Toiba, their equipment has been top class, as the DGP was saying. Even in my time, they used to have Japanese ICOM radio sets, which are very difficult to track. But finally we started listening in. Today, I believe the radio set they're using you just cannot intercept any message. There's such high level of encryption is there so we just cannot get a fix or even hear what they're talking. Then the shoes they use, the equipment, the belt they wear, the rucksack they carry, everything is absolutely top class. Very, very costly equipment. They have world receivers with them. So they are, whether they are soldiers or not, I will not speculate, and we should not speculate on all these things. Let us maturely come out with the details of this. But yes, anybody who is a Lashkar-e-Toiba, who's been trained and sent by ISI, they are all very well trained. And earlier also we have had these people, we have killed them in Vadhavan Valley and those heights where they never expected the army will come after that. And
right.
So they are well trained, they're physically very fit, and they can live. The problem happens when they come and start living on the valley floor among the villages. Then they become lazy, and then it is very difficult for them. But these people, if they are indeed the people who did the Pahalgam massacre, they have been out in the forests, in tarpaulin kind of thing, or some bags.
Sure.
Or books for
all right, General Mode, I understand what you're saying, and Mr. Ved, you're welcome to stay on and participate in what will now be a political discussion. But that's your choice entirely. Adil Singh Boparai, this of course came up on a day when Operation Sindoor came up in Parliament. Rajnath Singh Ji, the Defence Minister, said, among other points, that at the end of the day, India won. So why is essentially what he said, and these are my words, is that why is the Congress nitpicking when the overall objectives have been met? And I would suggest that, assuming that these are the terrorists who are involved in Pahalgam, that, they've managed to get that success as well, at least partly.
Well, Vishnu, there are several issues and there are several dimensions to this extremely unfortunate incident at Pahalgam and the consequential action, including the kinetic action in early May. But point number one, we salute our brave hearts. We salute the armed forces. There are reports, of course, I'm not sure if there's been official confirmation, but there are reports which indicate that one of the three terrorists who's been liquidated today happens to be the alleged mastermind. Of course, once the official readout is out, but be that as it may, we salute our brave hearts. Point number two, coming to the larger issue and what was being discussed in Parliament today. Please understand, how did India, including you, learn about the ceasefire between India and Pakistan? It was not the Pakistani establishment. It was not the Indian government. It was a tweet by the US President Donald Trump. Point number one.
I beg
Point
to differ.
number two, you have
Adil,
the US...
Adil, I was briefed on it. I was briefed on it and I reported it.
Well, as far as
including the
news
exact times, both from the army and from the External Affairs Ministry, including the times. And I can tell you right now, there was a time approximately 1 p.m. when the conversation was supposed to take place. Apparently, there was a problem with the phones at that stage. Then they decided, I think, at a little after 3:30 p.m., their DGMO called our DGMO, and within 2 hours, they decided to call it off. They decided at 3:30 to call it off, and they did call it off. Of course, they broke it for about 24 hours, but that is the sequence, and I've reported this.
Vishnu, you must allow me to complete. You're very senior in the profession.
No, but you made a point which I disagree with. I mean, I say that
we can agree to disagree.
Reported this point myself.
In a healthy democracy, we can agree to disagree. As far as the general public is concerned, we learned about the ceasefire from the tweet of Donald Trump. Let me clarify this. Number two, you have the US president, and this is not just any individual. You have the US president claiming 28 times that he brokered peace between India and Pakistan and that he threatened that trade will be stopped. I think this is very, very material. Okay. I think the government of the day must categorically listen, Vishnu. If there's going to be a point-by-point rebuttal, I can't continue like this.
No,
So please
I just said
understand,
okay, but I do believe you mentioned lots of points. Let's get Mr. Patania to respond
I
to that.
haven't said anything. Your point, your response was
you
longer
carry
than
on.
my answer.
You finish your point.
Thank you. Number 3, you have the CDS acknowledging that yes, there were losses. There were losses. You have the military attaché in Indonesia saying that, well, our objective, and we were given a restrictive handout that you will not target military installations. This is all a matter of record. You have the gentleman who's the military attaché, a captain who's attached with the embassy in Indonesia saying this. You have a general, a serving general saying that it was the Chinese. It was the Chinese who were driving this entire operation. The Pakistanis were merely in the front. Was it not incumbent on the defense minister to call out the Chinese?
All right,
If the Chinese are the real bulwark,
all
why
right.
are they shying
Adil, you
away?
mentioned 3 separate
What we
points
are
that I
saying
could
is
count.
10
Let
seconds,
Ranbir come
10
in and
seconds,
respond
10
to those.
seconds,
I'll
10
try and come
seconds.
back to you. Yeah, Ranbir, go
10
ahead, please.
seconds.
Please. Yes. Yes, Vishnu, first of all, a very good evening to everybody on board. And I'll start from the first instance that let's not try to create mountains out of molehill. This is India fights against terror. This is not only India doesn't beat only the Bharatiya Janata Party or the central government. Each and every citizen of India is fighting a battle against terror. And let the Indian National Congress, the Grand Old Party, and all the members of India Alliance, they be very responsible. They leave some issues out of the purview of petty politics. Let us see that petty politics doesn't give a version of a divided house in India. You see, Jammu and Kashmir was a separate case. We as a race, we as people of Jammu and Kashmir, we are those people who did not allow the East India Company to steep into Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir was not directly under the English rule. We fought extremism, we fought fundamentalism, and we kept the flag of the nation flying high among the tough and trying times also. But the people, those who are picking holes, let me put a question to you, sir, that why a separate flag, why a separate constitution, and why a separate prime minister for Jammu and Kashmir? This experience, this adventure totally misfired. This absolutely blew right in the face. And now, after 5th of August 2019, the total narrative has changed. Just to brief it up, sir, there is a total sense of security in Kashmir, barring a few incidents, a sense of security in Kashmir, a big boom in industry, tourism at an all-time high. So we are seeing G20 meet in Jammu and Kashmir, in Kashmir also. So is this incident, which was planned and programmed in the Viceroy Valley of Pahalgam, this was absolutely an act of terror. An act of terror is an act of terror.
No, but Ranbir ji, I don't think you've answered Adil's question.
Please.
Adil had a very pointed question, one among 3. But the one question is that why is it that losses or purported losses of Indian platforms were being referred to by the Chief of Defence Staff and others? Why is there no clarity, at least from the floor of Parliament or elsewhere?
Sir, see Vishnu, let the US President or any foreign dignitary say something. You said 28 times, I said 2,800 times. We need not to care about it. Whatsoever is the official statement of the Bharat Sarkar, the official statement of the Indian Army, let's believe our brave forces. If they say something on record, if there is something in a press invite, let's believe it. Let's not pick holes. We can't believe the version of the Trump that 5 planes have been damaged. Absolutely not. We totally disown it. And nobody should have the courage and the audacity to own it. Nobody should have the courage and audacity to pick holes with regard to such stray incidents. We could simply say just arrows shot in an arena of dog that tempers and temperaments also.
Okay.
So we should believe our army. May I respectful submission to Congress and all political parties across the board, let's keep some issues out of the net of petty politics. Let's be all united. Let's all stand tall.
Okay.
Let's all be all
right, Ranbir ji, let me give Adil the last word. Adil, the point that he's trying to make, many people say that, is there will be losses in conflict. Why politicize that? All right? That's I think is what Ranbir ji is saying. Briefly, we've got about a minute or 2 left.
Let me tell you, Vishnu, the fundamental problem. You may not agree with me on air, but I'm certain you'll agree with me off air. The fundamental problem of the government and its ecosystem is that they want to project Mr. Modi as a larger than life image. And it is because that they want to
That he
portray
is
this image. They don't come out with facts. Let me please complete. That's point number one. Point number two, what Mr. Modi has achieved, and it doesn't matter what a BJP RSS pracharak says, what Mr. Modi has unfortunately achieved is re-hyphenation of India and Pakistan. And it doesn't matter what spiel BJP and the media gives us domestically. What matters is how's the world viewing it. And the world, unfortunately, has re-hyphenated India and Pakistan. Number one. Number two, you cannot discount what the US president says, for heaven's sake. Please don't discount it. We have to counter it. We have to counter it. Number three, we have generals, we have military attaches acknowledging that the government gave them a limited or a restricted readout or an objective. Why was that restriction placed? Is it because of that restriction that we lost jets?
Okay.
The government needs to come clear. Number four, we are not enemies of the government. When you engage in a dialogue on the floor of the House, the idea is accountability and strengthening our national security apparatus. Like I said, the problem is they want to project Mr. Modi as a larger-than-life, as a machismo figure, and in that process, they are undermining national security.
All right.
That is the nub of the matter.
Lots of points over there. I've run out of time, but I do believe tomorrow we should get perhaps more debate, maybe a few more answers. At some stage, we do expect the Prime Minister to speak as well. Let's see if there is more transparency in this entire process. But some would suggest, and I would as well, as somebody who's reported this closely, the end result of Op Sindoor, it's not entirely over, was one where India succeeded a great deal. Those images of hits on Pakistani terrorist camps and on their air bases, that's 100% correct. The Congress never referred to that today, sir, explicitly, right? You were digging holes in the government, but perhaps you should have also mentioned the success of the operations. That's a perspective.
We always salute our brave hearts. We always do. But it's the BJP who plays politics on their valor.
Sanju did not mention it on ground, sir. You didn't even
Okay, gentlemen, I got to end this now. I'm being told I'm out of time right now. We will continue to track this and we'll get all perspectives. Thank you both very much for being with us. You've been watching Left, Right and Centre. We do need to take a short break. There's more coming up.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
The Avenged the Pahalgam attack. 3 terrorists have been killed. The Pahalgam mastermind tracked, cornered and gunned down per sources. The debate on Operation Sindoor coincidentally takes place on the same day. Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, says the forces have achieved their target, 100 terrorists in Pakistan killed, and that Op Sindoor is paused, it is not over. Gaurav Gogoi of the Congress counters. He asks, why did we agree to a ceasefire in the first place? He says the country needs to know the truth about the alleged loss of military platforms. Divya Deshmukh wins the FIDE World Cup title. She becomes the 88th Grandmaster in the game and defeats her rival in the second rapid chess game.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Gaikwad is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri chappals costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Well, as we speak, the debate on Operation Sindoor continues in Lok Sabha. And today, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar also addressed the House when he spoke on Operation Sindoor. He set the record straight in terms of the facts that the DGMO of Pakistan asked for the ceasefire, and there was no phone call whatsoever between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. He also launched a blistering attack on the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi. Let's put out the 5-point charges by Dr. Jaishankar on Rahul Gandhi, and then we tell you why are each of those charges so important and need to be told in greater detail. The first and most important thing that he put out was that, did you think of hitting Bahawalpur? That's how deep that the Indian army has gone, and something that, in fact, the Indian Armed Forces went, something that Dr. Jaishankar said was unthinkable during the UPA era. The second charge that was levied was, those who did nothing are actually questioning us. That's the second charge that's been levied by Dr. Jaishankar. The third being that no call took place between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. Repeatedly, this claim has been made and has been asked again and again, clarified on the floor of the House. The next charge that was levied was satellite images of Pakistani bases show the kind of damage. Again, many people have been asking in the opposition side, show the proof. Where's the proof? He spoke about it on the floor of the House. And the last thing that he did say was very clearly that our efforts led to the US action on TRF, which has now been banned, a global terrorist organization. And this was the 5-point charge that was levied. And in addition, then there was a blistering attack as well. Now, as he spoke, there's also a clear clarification that he made with regard to the Trump issue that again and again has been taken up by the opposition parties. Even today, Trump did make yet another claim about mediation role in India's Operation Sindoor. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar fact-checked him yet again. On the floor of the House, the minister made it absolutely clear no phone call whatsoever took place between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. So while Trump can keep making those claims, partly probably to keep his Nobel Peace Prize ambitions alive and kicking, the question is, why is the political class not willing to listen in to their own government and still continue to follow the agenda that's been put out by foreign governments? And let's put that out one by one. The number of times that Donald Trump has actually claimed credit as far as ending the war, something that India has repeatedly clarified too. First and foremost, in fact, this was in May when it said that US mediation via trade pressure. That was the first claim that was made, fact-checked by Indian government, where it categorically said no such trade was actually mentioned. Let's move ahead. Second week is when 8 claims were made in 11 days. So this was said again and again by Donald Trump's administration, because as I said, there was also a domestic audience that he needed to address to and he needed to cater to. But all in all and always, India was clarifying and fact-checking him. Again, let's move ahead. By 13th of June, 13 claims had come in within 34 days. By 15th of July, that had actually risen to 22 claims. And by 23rd of July, that has actually now risen to 25 total claims that have been made so far by Donald Trump. Finally, before we get in our guest joining us this evening to talk more about what does this really mean, the claims that have actually been made by Donald Trump. Let's put that out very quickly for our viewers to know. First and foremost, the biggest claim that he's been making again and again, that he stopped the war. The second claim that he made was, let's make a deal and let's do trading. That's the second thing that he said. And the final thing was, let's not trade nuclear missiles. All of this has been fact-checked by the Indian government, by by our External Affairs Minister, but it seems that it isn't enough when it comes to the opposition parties. They've been talking about it again and again and again. I'm going to put that out question to the panelists joining me this evening, but first up, I want to play out that face-off to really tell you the kind of the importance of why this needs to be discussed in greater detail.
My administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of 2 nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop.
At no stage in any conversation with the United States was there any linkage with trade and what was going on. Secondly, there was, please listen. Secondly, there was no call between the Prime Minister and President Trump from the 22nd of April, when President Trump called up to convey his sympathy, and the 17th of June, when he called up Prime Minister in Canada to explain why he could not meet.
All right, Prabhu Dayal joins me on the broadcast, Tushar Gupta in just a bit, and I also have Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst supporting the Congress party. Mr. Abbas, let me start with you. As things stand right now, the External Affairs Minister has set the record straight on the floor of the House, answering essentially all questions that the Congress party had. Do you think it's now, with no ambiguity whatsoever now, do you think that it's now time for the Congress party to revisit its stance on Operation Sindoor that it has been having all along?
Gauriji, before coming on your show, I was watching Lex Friedman's very famous podcast with Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, in which he said that the opposition is the backbone of democracy. He welcomes criticism and he loves criticism. Therefore, this reminds me of George Washington, who once said, when you do the most common things in life, in the most uncommon way, you command the attention of the world. Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, being a Vishwaguru and a global leader, more than half a dozen countries have adorned him with the highest civilian award. The fact of the matter is, when Trump from the White House lied about bridging the gap between India and Pakistan, when he lied about being the cause of the ceasefire, I believe, and the Congress party believes, that Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji must have tweeted or made a statement saying, no, Mr. Donald Trump, this is an absolute lie.
No. The question was very simple, sir. The question was that on the floor of the House, External Affairs Minister has clarified in no uncertain terms. What is it that is now the bone of contention here? Why is the Congress party now not willing to revisit its earlier stance as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned?
The bone of contention here, Gauriji, is that when it comes from Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, the world sits up and takes notice. It's a lot more of importance and sacrosanct for Modi ji to call out the lie of Donald Trump. That is all the Congress party is seeking. Also, Gaurav Gogai ji mentioned that what we are looking forward to here is how did Pahalgam happen? How did the terrorists enter Kashmir? How or why did the intelligence failure take place?
No,
These
those are two different
very
things.
important questions.
No. Don't mix up everything, sir. There are two different things, Asad Abbas. One aspect that I am very categorically and focusing on, asking you about, is the fact that the lies by Donald Trump has been busted, fact-checked by our minister. And why is it that you're not believing that? Let me get in Tushar Gupta on this broadcast as well. Before I get in and ask about what many believe are serious questions with regard to the integrity of the leader of opposition that have been raised by External Affairs Minister today. Tushar, your first thoughts on the fact that Donald Trump has been fact-checked yet again, not good enough for the Congress party?
The Congress has made its decision. They want to believe Donald Trump over the Indian Armed Forces. They want to believe what Donald Trump rambles over what the government is saying. So they have made their choice very clearly. It is driven by their political compulsion. So as many factors as may come, as many statements may come, as many declarations may come on the floor of the parliament, the Congress is not going to budge. Even tomorrow, when the leaders of the Congress speak, they'll talk about what Donald Trump is uttering. What surprises me is Donald Trump has also been talking about ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, and look where those two countries are. Donald Trump was also claiming a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and the very next moment the ceasefire was violated. So I don't know why Congress is looking up to Donald Trump with such credibility, or it's just a political choice they're making. But I think the Congress should really trust the Indian Armed Forces. I can understand a disagreement with the BJP as a party, even with the government for that matter. But what I don't understand is the disagreement with the Indian Armed Forces for being very clear that there were certain political and strategic objectives with which they started Operation Sindoor, and once they were achieved, they paused the operation, did not end the operation, but paused the operation. But I don't think there is any power on this planet, at least, that can convince the Congress that this is the version of truth. They'll believe the version they want to. It's that simple.
Okay, very quickly before I get in Prabhu Dayal as well, the other aspect, which is that it was asked that the leader of the opposition, who was still the MP then, earlier, had gone to China at the time when the Doklam conflict was taking place, raising serious questions about the integrity of the leader of opposition. Respond to that, Asad Abbas.
It's absolutely unfortunate that we are asking a question to the leader of opposition, whereas let us understand that today it is the Bharatiya Janata Party which is the ruling party and they are answerable. Why don't we raise question as to how did Pahalgam happen? How did the terrorists enter? How were innocent Indians killed in Pahalgam?
No, all those are valid questions, but so is the fact that Rahul Gandhi was in China when the Doklam tension was happening.
Just give me 30 seconds,
No,
please.
don't mix. That's my only point. Take your time, sir.
We can definitely ask the possible questions to Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition. But the fact of the matter is now what has happened. It is Pahalgam that we speak of. Why is it that we always question the leader of opposition and not the ruling prime minister? Prime minister must answer about
quick
the
reaction
intelligence
from
failure.
Tushar on that, and then I get in a closing comment from Prabhu Dayal. Yeah, Tushar.
The PM must answer on intelligence failure. Intelligence failed, so people were killed.
Intelligence, if you're going to harp about the intelligence failure, please also talk about what happened with Operation Mahadev today. You cannot be selective in your discussions. Again, the question here is, Indian armed forces are in a standoff with the Chinese military. What did Rahul Gandhi want from the Chinese ambassador that he was not getting from the Indian government? It's a simple question. No one is questioning the constitutional right of Rahul Gandhi to interact with the Chinese ambassador. That's a different question. What everyone is asking, that when the two militaries are locked off in a standoff in a very sensitive area, why is Rahul Gandhi finding that urge to visit the Chinese ambassador? That is the serious conflict of interest.
Rahul Gandhi is not the Prime Minister of the country, sir. You can question the LOP, but Prime Minister is also answerable. History repeats itself and we don't learn from history itself. The fact is, intelligence failure was there, but nobody is answering about it. Home Minister, Defense Minister,
the goalposts. I'm sorry, but this is
the question was very simple and very clear. At the cost of repeating, I'm telling you, which is that External Affairs Minister fact-checked Donald Trump yet again on the floor of the House. On the floor of the House, he's clarified. Why is it not good enough? He also then spoke about the fact that those who are custodians or trying to be custodians of national security, there was a long list, he told, what all has the Congress party or what all has Rahul Gandhi done in the past, and he gave specific examples of that. And then he said that at the end of the day, do not come and question at the end, simply because we have a track record of acting unlike the UPA. That is what the crux of Dr. Jaishankar's simple argument was, which is why I'm asking you, he's already spoken on the floor of the House, why isn't it good enough?
It is absolutely good enough, Gauriji. It is sacrosanct. Jaishankar, who's one of the finest ministers in the cabinet, I am not raising two questions about it. We completely agree on that front. Trump is a liar lying through his teeth. In fact, I asked AI on ChatGPT and it listed out more than 100 lies of Trump. That is not the question here. The question is, Adanya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, who has much higher credibility than Trump,
who's been waiting patiently, and then I get a quick closing comment from Tushar.
10 seconds. When he has a bigger credibility than a Netanyahu or even a Trump, why can't Modi ji make one single tweet and say, Dolan Trump?
Okay. Prabhu Dayal, let me bring you in, sir. Apart, while the political scoring continues, let me understand from you, sir, the diplomatic aspect of this. It was clarified with Dr. Jaishankar's cogent argument about the change, the new normal as far as the India-Pakistan relationship is concerned. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Gauri, first of all, let me clarify that I am not at all politically involved. I am totally neutral. But I am a proud Indian citizen, and I would like to see political parties speak with a unified voice on such important issues as terrorism. Now, having been a diplomat all along in my career for more than 37 years, I can tell you that when it comes to speaking out on matters pertaining to other countries, the External Affairs Minister is good enough. The Prime Minister doesn't have to speak out on each and every issue. And the Government of India, including the External Affairs Minister, have repeatedly said that they acceded to Pakistan's request for a ceasefire because Pakistan literally came on bended knees and asked for it. There was no US interference whatsoever. And I believe my government. And I would like the political parties to speak with one voice.
Exactly.
Terrorism is a very important threat.
Absolutely.
We can't be divided on this issue, because if we are divided, it weakens our international position.
Absolutely,
of course,
sir.
Donald Trump has a strong business interest in
Absolutely,
Pakistan.
sir.
He didn't want this war to continue. Perhaps he spoke to the Pakistanis. But when our government says that he never spoke to us,
that should be the final word there. That should be the final word for every Indian. Absolutely. Quick closing comments, Tushar, as we wrap this up.
On the morning of May 10th, something was hit by the Indian Armed Forces. I don't know, probably somewhere in Sargodha. And there were a lot of news coming in that day about some sort of a nuclear target being breached. Of course, officially it was denied, but something did happen on the morning of May 10th. And that's the missing piece in this larger puzzle, which nudged the Pakistani DGMO to call for a ceasefire. And that has been the version of the government ever since, that there was something that happened on the morning of May 10th, and we still don't know what it is. It's probably classified. But the Pakistani DGMO nudged for a ceasefire. It wasn't some sort of an external party interference.
Absolutely.
And this is what the government has been saying.
Absolutely clear there. And why is it that that shouldn't be the final word remains to be seen? I have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition at NDTV. And viewers, today was also a day when Operation Mahadev was conducted successfully by our armed forces. Alleged perpetrator and mastermind of the Pahalgam terror attack has been hunted and killed. To talk more on that, to talk more about the Operation Mahadev itself, my colleague Shiv Arur spoke to one of the foremost warfare experts in the world, John Spencer. Listen into a slice of that conversation.
And very scant details still trickling in on Operation Mahadev. We have a categorical confirmation that 3 terrorists have been killed, at least one of them directly linked to the Pahalgam terror attack 97 days ago. Joining me live now from the United States is John Spencer, Chair of Urban Warfare Studies at the Modern War Institute and one of the foremost voices when it comes to warfare, urban warfare and army and military operations. John, welcome. Thanks for being with me back here on NDTV. It's a big day. Indian Parliament, as you know, is debating and discussing Operation Sindoor, which is, the subject matter of one of your studies at this time. But the operation that took place, even while that debate is happening, has made the big headlines, John. You've just tweeted on an NDTV story where you've said Indian forces, multiple elements of special forces and commandos, conducted a high-risk night operation in severely restricted mountainous terrain to kill 3 of the terrorists who conducted the Pahalgam attack, to include the mastermind of the carnage. Elaborate on that, your understanding of what has happened. I should say right at the start that very little information has come in the broad contours of that operation as you've just put out.
Yeah, thanks, Shiv. It's great to see you again. As somebody who taught these type of operations in my own military in a place called the Ranger School, I know how hard and almost unimaginable to get into this type of terrain, not be compromised, to be able to do this level of precision. I've learned what I know so far from NDTV, so I'm anxious to hear more details, but it sounds like just an amazing special operations mini units to isolate these terrorists that were still there. And although it's been 97 days, it's actually quite miraculous to do it at this speed. If you remember, for the United States, 9/11, it took us 18 months to get the mastermind, took us 10 years to get Osama bin Laden. So a lot of credit to the Indian military if what we know is true.
Absolutely true. Let me share a few more details that have come in, John, that we're reporting here on NDTV. It is our understanding that this particular group of terrorists, 3 have been killed, but there may have been more. We don't know yet. It's an evolving situation. But they were apparently being tracked for about 3 or 4 days, which, as you know, is not uncommon. That's how intelligence works. They were being tracked both by, eyewitnesses on the ground. There are nomadic communities that operate and live in these hills where some of these terror groups may have been hiding. Drones were used to establish a visual confirmation of their movements and their locations. And then early this morning, very interestingly, John, one of them apparently opened a communications device that has been shut for the last 97 days, a T-82 Ultra set, a communication device, Chinese origin apparently, and that was the big giveaway, and the forces were able to pinpoint their actual location. Those are some of the details that are coming out, John.
Amazing. And it really no surprise, but you still have to give credit to the amount of the operation, just like Operation Sindoor, where you combine old things like human intelligence with very advanced new technologies that India has been invested in. Like, I know satellite imagery, signals intelligence, what you're talking about, picking up somebody's cell phone immediately as they turn it on, the ability to identify and blanket an area for collection. All of these things combine, the old, the new, in what becomes military dominance, this is another example of this. Hopefully some justice for the victims of the terrible attack.
Talk to us a little bit about the challenges as you understand them, John. You've seen what this terrain looks like. It is medium to high altitude. It is very, very uneven mountainous terrain, very thick forests, visibility low, possibility of cloud cover, very thick jungles, like I said. Some of the pictures coming in from the encounter site seem to confirm that this was an excellent hiding place, as it were. What sorts of challenges would the commando team, and the other cordon and search teams have faced in the final hours of this mission?
Absolutely. And I was listening to your coverage with the former, I think, 15 Corps commander.
Yeah.
Triple canopy. I served in a place called Panama. I understand where not only is the enemy your threat, so you don't want the enemy, which is really hard to do, is to isolate somebody who is clearly at a high level of readiness, but just the terrain. To scale this, you need soldiers, men and women who can do hard things. Clearly, this is it. The ability to move in that terrain where there are very few trails, even though you wouldn't want to use the trails, but to do it quietly at night, especially where there's no ambient light, because night vision requires some type of light. And in many of these triple canopy or triple jungle situations, there is no light. So just the gravity of difficulty and how many ways this could have gone wrong. And it appears to have all work, even if you put drones in front of you, which are more of this old things that are really hard to do with new technologies, you put drones in front of you to try to help you. It's severely difficult, and I don't know if we can communicate how hard this would have been for the Indian forces that were involved.
It is really interesting because, a part of it happened during the night. The actual encounter happened in the morning hours, in daylight, which would have brought its own risks, obviously, because of visibility. And John, we've seen many encounters in Kashmir that have led to casualties, within the military. Not uncommon at all. Also because many of these terrorists are well trained. They're trained in special operations. One of the persons involved in the Pahalgam attack is known to be a former Pakistan Army special operator as well. So these are people who know how to survive out there and to fight back. So to be able to kill the three of them, again, I want to be cautious because this is still an evolving situation. It's not going to be easy to do something like that. These are not just ragtag terrorists. They're very well trained.
Absolutely. And they'll have triple layers of defense. So people imagine, somebody just quietly sitting in a room, not a trained individual even like me. You'd have multiple layers of detection outside of the area in order to get into those positions, and how meticulous, quiet the forces had to be, how much they'd have to just stay in one place for a long period of time. Yeah. Create this extreme difficulty, let alone an untrained individual. To do it against a trained individual in this amount of severely restricted terrain. I mean, you could have injuries just falling off the side of the mountain, which is often normal for soldiers as well.
Something else that's become a talking point, John, of course, are the weapons. And, when you get photographs from the encounter site, they immediately become the subject matter of open source intelligence experts looking in great detail at every little aspect of the photographs, how the weapons are arranged, how the bodies are positioned, how the shoes are kept, etc., etc. And there's a wealth of information that you get from photographs, and you'd know what each of these photographs actually looks like from a forensic perspective. But one little talking point has become, the weapons. The AK-47s, of course, are normal, expected. The Kalashnikov rifles are very much standard weaponry when it comes to terror groups operating in Kashmir and the Kashmir Valley. There's one picture which shows an M4 carbine, an American weapon. And again, not for the first time, but it's once again become a reminder in some ways of how NATO weaponry from Afghanistan, from elsewhere probably has made its way, and the supply chain of these weapons continues.
Absolutely. And we saw the same thing in other areas like the Hamas attack in Israel. Yeah. But because of the proximity to Afghanistan and how much the Taliban was selling the arms that were left for the Afghan army to everybody, clearly would make it into the hands of the many, not just one, many terrorist organizations in Pakistan with the sole intent to do these types of attacks in India. So absolutely, I also caution, and I'm learning a lot. Like you said, we'll hear the official briefing. What do we know for sure, and versus this open and source intelligence that can often, from the 5 mysterious planes that went down during Operation Sindoor to the other side where people are trying to leap to conclusions. I don't take a lot from seeing different types of weapons, even within the terrorists, although getting them into this area, I'm sure it would be difficult and you might need external help.
Well, the Indian Army will be holding a special briefing tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to be tuning into that as well. Hopefully, many of these unanswered questions in an evolving situation, will get some clarity. 97 days since Pahalgam, and we do know that there is a clear link from at least one of these terrorists to the Pahalgam terror attack itself, in which 26 people were killed. John, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for speaking to me on NDTV tonight.
Thanks, Shiv.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
A historic final featuring 2 outstanding Indian chess players, proud of the young Divya Deshmukh on becoming FIDE Women's World Chess Champion 2025. Congratulations to her for this remarkable feat, which will inspire several youngsters. Koneru Hampi has also displayed immense prowess throughout the championship. Best wishes to both players for their future endeavours.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
We are here with Salman Khan, who has told us a lot about bikes. Can you tell me, Salman, when did your love for bikes start?
I think since very early age. My cousins in Indore.
Do you remember your first bike?
Yeah, my first bike was a Jogado bike that I picked up a 125cc engine, and I put in old bullet tires, and I got a frame of some other motorcycle, and I made that bike. And that bike, I think it took me about a month and a half to fix that bike, and I got it on the road, fixed it all alone. And one of my cousins used to own a garage, so I've sat with him and I assembled that bike. I mean, it's all different, and it was like made it like a scrambler, dirt bike, trail bike.
So it's not like you only ride a bike.
No, so yeah, I mean, could do it then. I mean, simple even now. But so there's a friend of mine. Remember that guy, Salim, the fat guy who used to be in movies with me? He was so he was a dear friend of mine. He used to own bikes, so that engine was from him. And after a month and a half, he saw me down Carter Road riding it. So he looked at me, Sharman, this is the one that I picked up from you. Really? Wow. So I was sleeping. He comes at 6 o'clock in the morning. He takes the bike. He goes, and I come down, wanting to go to college. And I say, "Ye bike kahan hai?" They say, "Wo Salim Baba aake leke chale gaye." So then in the evening, I went to his place. I said, "Kahan hai bike, bhai? Tu leke chale gaya?" He said, "Yaar, bike ki zarurat thi. वो पिक्चर का स्टंट था, उसको फिल्म सिटी के लेक में उड़ाना था."
और बाइक ठीक था?
And then they did the stunt with my bike, and the bike went in. Must be somewhere still there in the film city ka lake.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
after Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years. I bring